Welcome back to Mac Stories Unwind. Today's show is brought to you by Listen Later. I'm John Voorhees. I've had too much coffee, and I'm joined by Federico Viticci. Hey, Federico.
Hello, John. Why the coffee? What's the deal with the coffee?
I don't know. I've had a lot of caffeine today, and it's really got me.
Interesting.
It's really got me going. It's been a busy morning, and I've got guests coming to my house again tonight, and I just kind of had that realization that, oh well, yeah, usually I work on Friday, and there are going to be people here, so I have to figure out how I'm going to make all that happen. But I'll get it all done.
Okay. Well, don't have too much coffee. I was able recently to cut down my espresso consumption. You wouldn't believe it, but like on most days, I just have 2 espressos and 3 tops. Like I stopped drinking coffee in the evening like 3 months ago. And
I can't even believe you did it in the evening. I cannot drink coffee.
Oh yeah, after dinner, I've done it for years.
Oh, I know you have. And I will tell you that I used to be able to do that. I had a lot of days now, though, if I have coffee in the afternoon, I will have a hard time sleeping. So
yeah, I wanted to sleep. Like I could still sleep, but I felt like it was making me too nervous, and
I get that sometimes too. Yeah. All right, well, that's enough of coffee. I wasn't really meaning to talk to you about coffee today because we have a very special segment that we're going to start doing on Unwind from time to time, which is we're going to talk about some Southern phrases. Now,
you came up with this idea a few weeks ago, and you had this thing in your document in the document that we have for our show notes for a few weeks, and then I had to surprise you with the Lenovo Legion Go, so we couldn't talk about it.
Yes,
but this document has been sitting here for I want to say almost a month at this point.
Almost a month. So I will set ground rules here, which is some of these phrases are not, I don't find them particularly Southern. I heard them when I was in the Midwest. So maybe their origins are in the South. Maybe they are not. But Jennifer actually happened to stumble across this article, one of those, very much a listicle on the internet. I took it. I used Mark Download, the extension on Safari, and I turned it into a Markdown document to get rid of all the cruft and junk. And now we have a very nice and tidy Southern phrases document that we can look at, and each H2 header is a different Southern phrase, and it's a very long list.
Okay, so I'm going through this. Before I pick a phrase that I want to learn more about, I have a very important question.
Sure.
Can you read these sentences in a Southern accent?
Oh, I don't think so. No? I think I'd offend way too many people. I'm not from the South, Federico. Listen to me. I sound like a Midwestern boy who doesn't have any kind of accent.
You don't have any kind of accent.
I really don't. And that's kind of the upper Midwest. No, I wouldn't say the upper Midwest. I guess that's a very Michigan thing, but on the other hand,
that is interesting. So, and it's so different because in Italy, like we all have an accent. Like you can totally hear somebody from Milan versus somebody from Venice or somebody from Florence, from Naples, from Rome, from Viterbo, even from Palermo down in Sicily. Like every region has an accent, and unless you are trained in speaking proper Italian without an accent. We've been going over this stuff on Connected for the Teach Italian segment. Right. Unless you are trained on how to properly pronounce some words, for example, like people on TV, right? They study how to properly pronounce Italian. Everybody has an accent, but I think in English, like it's not uncommon, I guess. Like you don't have any accent. Like I am familiar with some American accents, like people from New York, from the South, obviously. I'm sure there are many other dialects and accents that I don't know, but like it sounds like it's possible to not have an accent.
It is. I mean, I grew up in Michigan where there is something of a nasal accent here and there in parts of the more rural Michigan, I think, in northern Michigan. And, Wisconsin was near Illinois. They have kind of an accent, in Minnesota. It's pretty well known for having a bit of an accent. But no, I don't know. I mean, I think accents in the United States, at least, are kind of disappearing. I read something recently about Southern accents and that they really are becoming somewhat of an endangered species, really, because there's just I don't know if it's the homogenization of culture, through television and
Yeah,
other
I
and the
was I was
internet.
about to say that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's done that. But you like where I am now, the other thing is just people moving. Like where I am in North Carolina, there are probably half the people I meet are from somewhere else because this is a growing area. So there are a lot of Southern people here who grew up in the South, but there are an awful lot of people from places like New York or California or the Midwest or whatever. So
Okay. So anyway, there's this huge list of phrases, words. Like most of these, I have never heard before. Like
oh, okay, maybe there's some here that I haven't either. So it'll be good. We'll learn together.
there are some that I've heard before, like hold your horses,
Mm-hmm.
whatever floats your boat. Like those are expressions that I've heard before, but
Yep.
there are some that I have absolutely no idea what they mean. So this is a long document. We're gonna savor this document for a few weeks.
Okay.
Today, I want to know about two expressions, if possible.
Okay.
So I saw one that looked like just a bunch of random letters put together.
Oh, I bet I know which one you're talking about.
Cattywampus.
Cattywampus. This one I don't
And
know either.
and there was another one that I had
Okay.
no idea where is it? Hold on. I gotta scroll down.
I got to do the
Scroll
outline
down.
view of this document.
Can't make a silk purse out of a
Out of a
sow's
ear. A
ear.
sow's ear.
Okay.
Yeah.
Go with cattywampus first.
All right. This one is new to me, so I'm going to read what it says in this article that we found, and I guess I'll try to link it in the show notes. I don't even know if I put the URL in this document or not. Oh, I did. Okay, so I will send this listicle to everybody so they can enjoy it as well. But cattywampus, when you first read this word and hear it, you might be thinking it's ridiculous,
Yes.
which I think Federico did.
Cattywampus.
Cattywampus. The more you say it, however, the more you'll want to indulge it even more because it sounds so fun. Cattywampus has nothing to do with cats.
No, okay? I thought it was something for cats. Okay.
No, it says it means that something is sideways or out of sorts.
Oh, like another fun word, like topsy turvy. That's another.
Yeah, I think you think that's very good, Federico. I think you're right because it says here, if you have a painting in your living room and it tilts a little to the right, a Southerner would say that it's quite cattywampus, and that you should straighten it. So maybe it's not quite as extreme as topsy turvy. I don't know if you would say.
So I have an important question. Did you check? Okay, I just want to know. Are we gonna get canceled because of this segment? Like, are these words safe to use on a podcast?
Well, that is a good question. I have not done extensive.
No.
I have not done extensive secondary research on any of these words. So
please don't cancel us. John found the listicle thanks to his wife, and it's not our intention to offend anybody.
No, and we don't know where this actually came from. So we're not trying to offend anybody.
Look, cattywampus. It seems like it's on the Merriam-Webster dictionary. So
I just looked too, and the Cambridge dictionary too. So if it's in the Cambridge dictionary, it must be okay.
I mean, cancel the dictionary, not us. So
yeah, exactly.
so cattywampus, it means when what was it again? When something is upside down or tilted, like sideways or out of sorts.
Out of sorts. Like I would say, like maybe you come home and you've got a blanket balled up in a corner on your couch, and you say, "Oh, this couch is all cattywampus" or something like that.
Have you ever used
kind of a mess?
Like, have you ever used this word yourself?
I have never used this word. I've never heard any.
You've never heard it before. Okay.
No,
okay.
Never in my life. Never in my life.
Okay.
And and I think it's good of you to even mention though that the canceling thing, only because while it's funny, there are a lot of phrases that date back to things like times of slavery in the South, and so we have to be cognizant of that sort of thing.
Yes.
But this one I have never heard of, and I don't know. I mean, go forth and use it in with your friends in Rome. I'm sure they'll look at you funny.
Cattywampus. So the next one, can't make a silk purse out of a sow's ear. So I'm assuming that the sow is an animal that I've never heard of before.
It is. It's a pig.
A
A
pig.
sow is
A
it's a
sow.
female pig.
A female pig.
A
Interesting.
female pig. Yes.
Interesting. So I know
Yeah.
how that's called in Italian, but I didn't know the English translation. Okay. Huh.
So it says if you get told this, someone is taking a jab at your cheap taste. So,
Ah.
all right. So let's say Federico walks into the room and he's wearing some knockoff shirt that's supposed to look like some very pricey Italian designer brand, but it's just like something he bought on the streets of Rome for like €2, right?
Mm, yeah.
From a back alley. I'd look at you and I say, Federico, you can't make a silk's purse out of a sow's ear.
So this is similar to putting lipstick on a pig, I guess.
A little bit.
We also have a similar expression in Italy for it says like giving candy to a donkey, which is
Really? I have not
yeah.
heard that before.
Yeah, it's
Giving
along.
candy to a donkey.
Yeah, it's like it's along these lines of like using the poor animals as a kind of like an insult, which it shouldn't be. But I get the meaning.
I see. So yeah, this is meant to be evocative of a pig's big floppy ear, and you can't make a fancy silk purse out
mm,
of a pig's ear, and that's to say that someone is being tacky,
Got it.
basically.
Got it. Okay. Well, thank you for this first iteration of the Southern phrases that we're going to learn. And I'm going to learn how to use it. Well, there's so many in this document. You wouldn't
There are a
believe.
lot.
This document, by the way, that John copied, it is 4,500 words. So just to give
Yeah.
you a sense of the scale of this
Yes,
stuff.
and there's only like 2 short paragraphs about each word, so there's a
Yeah.
lot of words in here.
All right. Well, okay. So thank you, John. Before we talk about our picks, we have some follow up, some very important follow up.
Very, very
And
important.
I will let you go first because I think you have some important follow up.
I do. I do. Well, Federico, your big surprise really just was one of those things that was an earworm for me. It stuck with me. And we recorded that episode a little earlier than we usually record Unwind. We recorded on a Tuesday, and by Thursday, I had ordered a Legion Co. Okay. It took like 48 hours, and I've already got it. It came, I think it came last Friday. And I spent last weekend setting it up with a variety of things. I mean, I got my Steam library up and running. I also got Emulation Station up and running, so I have all of
Nice.
my retro games in there, which is really good. I fiddled around with Skyrim mods, decided to abandon that because it really wasn't it's too many, too much space, and for one game that I'm interested in but don't care that much about. So yeah, I've got a bunch of games on it now. I'm waiting for a 1X GPU, which as of this morning, as we record this on Thursday, it has left Hong Kong finally and should be.
Nice.
It says that it's coming tomorrow on Friday, but I don't believe it. I mean, it literally just left Hong Kong less than 6 hours ago. But I'm looking forward to getting that, and I have really. I'll give a little mini review of some of the things I think about this thing.
Mm-hmm.
It picks up fingerprints a lot on the back.
Yes.
Don't like that. The kickstand is amazing.
Yes.
This is a very good kickstand.
Yes.
And it works. I've been testing this Espresso portable 17-inch 4K display. I hooked it up with that over the weekend, along with a Logitech keyboard and mouse that I have, and it was great. I could just run full on Windows on this big display, and that's what I was doing, so I could move all my game files and everything around and get everything set up without having to do that by poking at the screen with my finger. Plus, the Espresso has a touch screen, so I can actually touch the Espresso display and interact with Windows with my fingers that way too, which is kind of cool.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah, the other things about it, I mean, I don't like the software, the Legion Space software very much. It's okay. I don't like their splash screen that's like, it feels like I've been dropped into a world of advertising, even though they're not ads. I just don't like the way it's organized.
Interesting.
And they are working on the UI, I
Yeah.
read in their most recent notes. So maybe they're going to clean that up a little bit. I'm not a big fan of that. I do think it's a big chunky boy. It's a significantly larger than a Steam Deck. And maybe I think I like the fact that the Steam Deck has 2 touchpads better, but I still like the Legion Go's controls too. So, I don't really have any complaints about them. I think
Hmm.
I like the ergonomics, I think, of a Steam Deck just a little bit more than this, but that's a combination of it
Yeah.
being bigger and heavier and a little bit in the way that the buttons and sticks and everything are located and designed. But yeah, I'm super happy with it. I mean, it's got great performance, and with an external GPU, I'm sure I'll be able to kind of take that to another level. I'm going to try it out once that comes. I'm going to try it out on my TV too.
Nice, nice, perfect.
Yeah.
I'm glad to hear that you're liking it.
This episode of Mac Stories Unwind is brought to you by Listen Later. You know what? I'm a little bit obsessed right now with text to speech, and I know that sounds a little strange, right? But here's the thing. I have a very long read later queue, and I just don't get to it all. I've got a lot of reading to do, a lot of reading I want to do, and I hate it when it just gets stacked up and hard to get through that pile. But with Listen Later, you can turn those read later articles into audio and listen to them just like a podcast because it creates a podcast for you. All you have to do is email your story into Listen Later with your very own email address, and it turns it into a podcast feed that you can then subscribe to in any podcast player that's out there practically. Anything that allows you to subscribe via URL, it totally works in. And so once you do that, you'll get a podcast in with your other podcast called Listen Later. And each episode will be one of those articles that you saved for later. That way, you can listen at your leisure, just like you do with your podcasts. You can speed it up, you can slow it down, you can boost the audio with apps that support that. It's a great way to plow through a lot more reading because you know what? You don't always have time to sit down and pull out something where you can actually read it. Listening is a great way to get through those stories too, whether you're in the car, running errands, doing chores around your house, exercising, whatever it is. Listen Later is a great way to read more. Plus, you can send it documents too, like text files, PDFs, and it can even pull text right out of image files if you send those too. And you may be wondering, how is it that Listen Later does this? Well, it does it with AI. It takes those articles, those written articles, and turns them into natural sounding audio using AI. To learn more, visit Listen Later's website today at listenlater.net. Again, that URL is listenlater.net. Our thanks to Listen Later for their support of the show.
I have some follow up and generally speaking, like tips for you and anybody interested in this setup. For the One X GPU, my tip is you can leave it always plugged into power. So
Okay.
with the power cable always plugged in, you just use the power button on the One X GPU to turn it on and off. When you press the button and it turns blue, it means that it's turned on.
Okay.
One important suggestion, because of the weirdness of how Thunderbolt and USB-C work,
Mm-hmm.
plug in the Thunderbolt cable in the back of the One X GPU after you've turned it on, because of the
Okay.
weirdness that's typically involved with like establishing the host dynamic between two devices. And I've noticed
Yeah.
that if I was always leaving the Thunderbolt cable plugged into the back of the One X GPU and then I turned it off and on, it would cause the Legion Go to get confused. Like, am I actually supposed to connect to this device or not?
I would have actually thought it would be the exact opposite of that.
No, you should always unplug the Thunderbolt cable from the One X GPU when you're done gaming.
Got it.
The next time you want to plug it in, turn it on first, and then you plug in the cable, and then you
Right.
connect the other end of the cable to the Legion Go. And that to me has been a foolproof method to always establish the connection on the first try.
I have something else. I have a tip too, a little
Okay.
tip. So I bought, when we talked about this in my desk setup, I bought this shelf for my office for my desk. And so what I did is I put the Legion Go up on the shelf with the kickstand. And that way I had both the top and bottom USB 4 ports exposed, and I was able to charge through the bottom or send it the signal to my portable display. And on the top, I put an Ethernet adapter, a really fast Ethernet adapter, so that I could sit at my desk and download gigantic Steam games much faster, because Steam, I think, tops out at around 1
Yeah.
gigabit per second, but it's a lot faster than doing it over Wi-Fi, because even little fluctuations in your Wi-Fi make those downloads take a lot longer. So that's my little tip.
All right. My other tip is make sure if you want to use the Legion Go with the controllers in detached mode, always detach the controllers after you've turned on the Legion Go. If your Legion Go is turned off and you detach the controllers and then you power on the Legion Go won't find the controllers, in my experience. So always detach them after you've turned on the Legion Go and you've logged into Windows.
It seems like a Bluetooth bug of some sort to me.
It seems like a bug to me. It should be able to do it, but it doesn't do it for me. And whereas if you do this instead, it's always going to work. And you get the little message on screen saying right controller detached or left controller detached, and that confirms that it's working. And lastly, John, I wanted to tell you that I am thinking about USB 4 eGPUs. I'm doing some research and I'm thinking, obviously, USB. We talked about this briefly before, like what's coming up next for eGPUs. And of course, we mentioned Oculink, USB 4, and Thunderbolt 5 on the horizon. Now, Thunderbolt 5 at the moment, the situation is pretty much like nothing's happening right now.
There's like one laptop.
There's one laptop
for sale.
It's by Razer. It's Razer.
Yeah, it's Razer, and it's a proprietary thing that they're
using a separate discrete chip, a proprietary chip to handle the Thunderbolt 5 connection. But basically, we're all waiting for Intel to make their own Thunderbolt 5 controllers. Obviously, Apple is going to make its own Thunderbolt 5 controller for the M series, for the chips that they make. But in the context of gaming, we're all just waiting for Intel to release its own Thunderbolt 5 chip, and that doesn't exist yet. So the Thunderbolt 5 eGPU story, there's no story at the moment because we're waiting for Intel's chip to gain Thunderbolt 5 support. But USB 4, which has a higher capacity and bandwidth than Thunderbolt 4, is already available. And I'm researching my options. I'm trying to see if there's potential for me to assemble a USB 4 eGPU that could give me even better performance with my Legion Go, because the Legion Go has USB 4. So I'll keep you posted.
You're thinking of like an enclosure with a off-the-shelf GPU? Yeah,
I'm thinking sense. One of those USB 4 boards that have a USB 4 chipset that support like a desktop graphics card and then an enclosure around it. So, something along those lines. I'll let you know how it goes. And lastly, I want to mention we got an amazing email from an Unwind listener that I wanted to thank on the show, who provided us with incredible context surrounding the eGPUs and the different standards for eGPUs. This is a person, I'm not sure if, I don't want to mention this person's name publicly, but I just want to thank them. This is a person who directly worked on various technologies, including, as they mentioned in the email, the whole Thunderbolt thing, that kind of person. So thank you for the feedback, and that was very informative in especially regarding the Oculink standard, which I didn't know was created actually it's been a thing for a few years, and recently was opened up and sort of standardized. But this person, judging from the email that we got, pretty much agrees with us that looking ahead at the horizon of eGPUs, it seems like the standard with the most promise is obviously Thunderbolt 5. So we're all just waiting for that. But in the meantime, USB 4, we'll see if there's potential there for better options. Whew, so that's the follow-up.
That's a lot of follow-up. I mean, I feel like we've had a whole show already, but I actually have something today. I have a pick.
Okay.
And it's kind of a combo pick. It started out as one pick, but I'm going to add to it because this is a perfect combination, which is the new Delta emulator on iOS that just came out. Right? Just came out yesterday by Riley Testis. And to combine with that, the GameSir X2S controller for the iPhone and other devices. Now, This is another yet another one of these kind of clamp it to your device type of controllers that we've talked about. We've talked about the GameSir G8, which I still prefer from kind of an ergonomics design standpoint in terms of how it feels when you hold it. This is more of a squared off boxy type of controller that goes around your phone. The reason I got it though is because GameSir saw what people were doing. Like Federico has explained in the past, where he shaved off the little latches that hold
Yes.
these two halves together and they stretched the device so that it fits things like a full size iPad. What this does is it still has those latches, but they're a lot smaller. And you can just pull this thing apart to its greatest extreme and then kind of bend it just a little bit and pull up on the plastic, and you can get it open and see the springs and get an iPad mini in there, which I haven't tried anything bigger than that. I know that on Game Core, Russ, who runs that channel, had a full size like 10.8 inch or what, I guess it was like a 10 inch iPad. But in any event, I've been using an iPad mini with it. And I think that's a really nice combination for doing things like streaming games, for remote play for the PS5 or the Xbox or something like that, as well as just playing a lot of iOS games that are available natively on the platform itself. So I would say about this controller, the controls are a little bit like the thumbsticks are pretty small. It's squared off, which I know not everybody likes. I know you're not a big fan of that
Yeah.
yourself, Federico.
Yeah.
But if you look at the back of this is much more contoured to your hands than some of the squared off ones I've used in the past. So it's not like it's digging into my hands in the same way that some of these squared off ones would. So I'm kind of happy with it, except, just as soon as I got this, Razer has announced their Kishi Ultra, which is a $150 version of one of these that can hold up to an iPad mini, no bigger than that. It can hold Android small tablets, Android phones, iPhones with USB-C, and it looks really nice. I mean, it can also even be used as a separate standalone wired controller with an iPad or a PC or whatever it happens to be. And it's a pretty nice one. So I think I'm gonna have to check that out too.
You know what somebody should make? I want to find an iPhone game controller for portrait gaming.
I would too. I really would. Yeah.
I'm not sure that such a thing exists.
I don't think it does.
Yeah, which is too bad. I would, especially like with DS emulation in Delta for iPhone now. Like I would totally play in
I was
portrait.
thinking about that with Delta too. Yes.
And something else that I wanted to mention, I just I reposted this on Threads. But if you are playing with Delta, you can install Delta for iPhone on your iPad and use it in compatibility mode. And on the iPad, if you're playing a DS game, you can use the Apple Pencil to simulate the Nintendo DS stylus, and it totally works.
That's true. Yeah. That's true. It works on the Vision Pro too, from what I understand, although I haven't tried it yet.
Yeah. So I posted this video of a person using an Apple Pencil to play an old Kirby Canvas Curse on the Nintendo DS.
Oh yeah, nice.
Yeah, and it's perfect. The Apple Pencil totally works. 2 quick picks from me this week. We started the new season of Loot on Apple TV Plus, Loot Season 3. We love this show. It's
very good.
It's one of our like before bed type of comedy shows. Very light, very funny. I love how they are digging deeper into the other characters in this season, and I'm liking the sort of the dynamics that they're establishing between Sophia and the various teammates at the charity. So yeah, I'm really enjoying the new season of Loot, and I also have a song pick. So there's this really talented artist, Alex Melton.
Alex Melton. Yeah,
Alex Melton is popular for sort of making these covers of popular songs, usually in the emo, punk rock, pop punk genre. And Alex's latest cover is an emo version of Fix You by Coldplay. And it's perfect. Well, as soon as I saw that Alex, so I've always been a huge fan of Alex Melton, and go check out his albums of covers. I believe they're called Hypotheticals, which is a great name for cover
Yeah.
albums. But as soon as I saw that Alex Melton had made an emo cover of Fix You, and I started listening, like it was exactly what I imagined. Like the drums, for example. Like
Mhm.
if you are an emo person, you will immediately hear the references to Appleseed Cast or Moving Mountains or all the American football, like all those bands from a
Mhm.
certain time period. And it's such an incredible rethinking that is both loyal, like faithful to the original, but also really well thought out in terms of like how do you actually turn Fix You into an emo anthem. I think the final part of the song is actually really interesting because Alex has done like it layered two vocal tracks, which Coldplay didn't do in the original, but he layered two vocal tracks in the final sort of coda of the song in a really cool
Mhm.
way. So yeah, go listen to it. It's been my weekly obsession, and go check out Alex Melton's other work because the other songs are also incredible.
Oh, that's great. That's great. Yeah, I haven't started Loot yet. I've been meaning to, but I'm kind of in the place with TV shows right now that I am with video games where I'm like 2 episodes into everything and not far enough through anything. So I've
Oh
decided to
yeah.
wait on, I decided to kind of wait on Loot until I finish a couple of things like Palm Royale is one that
Mm.
I'm working on, and the new Fallout show on Amazon Prime, which I plan to talk about on the show, but I'm only 2
Yeah.
episodes in, so I don't wanna do it until I've watched a little bit more of it.
Yeah, I want to watch Fallout 2, but I've committed to Dragon's Dogma 2, and I'm 35 hours into it. So now I gotta see it through. So that's been my video game. My video game time has gone there these
I'm
past few
waiting for my
weeks.
eGPU to come before I really dig in further with Dragon's Dogma. I've only
Yeah.
played just the very opening scenes of the game so
Yep.
far, so
You
I'm
don't want to do it without without a proper graphics card. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. All right, Federico. Well, thanks again to our sponsor for this episode of Mac Stories Unwind. That's Listen Later. You can find the two of us at macstories.net. We're on Mastodon. Federico is at vitici.macstories.net. And you can find me by going to johnvorhees.macstories.net. And we'll have buttons there for you to follow us on Mastodon. We're on Threads and Instagram too. Federico is at Vitici. That's VITICCI. And I'm at John Voorhees. JOHNVOORHWS. Talk to you next week, Federico.
Ciao, John.